15 minutes to be efficient, but just know that John and Sarah have both contributed to this effort that I'm going to speak about, so they can also provide expertise if there are questions after this meeting. I'll start actually with the handout that's colorful in the back, because one, it has my contact information at the bottom. I am Jenny Tompkins, the campaign manager for Clean Water Advocacy with Fem Future, and I lead a campaign called Our Water, Our Future, which recognizes that water is the greatest asset we have in the Erie region, and that in order to protect the water resources that we have, supports our economy, our culture, a lot of our social welfare programs, and is ultimately a benefit to all of the residents in the region. So this campaign outlines 8 threats to water quality in the Lake Erie watershed and makes policy and community-based recommendations that align with mitigating each of those threats. So this is just the municipal policy summary, one-pager that's taken from what is a 52-page document full of recommendations. So this gives you an understanding of overarchingly what we support and recommend. Number 1, addressing racism and environmental justice. The primary objective there is to create environmental advisory committees or councils at municipal levels. So that's what I'm going to talk about in depth, but I just wanted to give you a primer on the campaign overall. So what is an environmental advisory council? Now I'm on the bullet point sheet, the black and white one. Environmental advisory councils are allowable via ordinance by municipalities dating back to Act 148 of 1973, though municipalities have been able to create these advisory bodies that function very much like yourselves, just maybe in a broader capacity. Since the 70s, we have none in Northwest PA. There are 150 of these bodies in the Commonwealth, but again, none in our region. And there are a lot of benefits associated with creating an EAC. I won't go in depth to all of them. That's the second portion of this sheet, but EACs create capacity around environmental issues. Your group is a key step in doing that, and based on Sarah's expertise, of course, that's a great fit, and you're able to accomplish a lot. The other hat that Sarah wears, of course, is sustainability. So having another volunteer group that's focused on environmental issues can support the other portion of what Sarah's work entails and support the community. There is also the ability to fundraise independently for EACs. So even though there are only 7 residents, up to 7 voting members that are residents, EACs in other cities like Allentown, Harrisburg, Easton, Bethlehem, over the last 10 or 15 years have been able to accomplish a lot through fundraising and grant writing. So I will skip forward from there onto the key piece of information here, which is the roadmap. There are a group of us, maybe 10 or 12 of us from different environmental groups in the region that have contributed to research around EACs, speaking with EACs from other parts of the Commonwealth, reviewing resources that We Conserve PA, which is formerly PELTA, the Land Trust Association, has created and maintains annually for communities that might be considering creating an EAC. And we took all of that and created a roadmap for what needs to happen for the city of Erie to implement this framework successfully. As you can see, we are only on step 2, which is introduce this concept to key boards and authorities. Because an EAC is advisory in nature only, it functions best when other authorities, boards, and commissions can tap into it, like a think tank, one of our volunteers likes to say, and collaborate with other groups and elected officials and staff to effect change. So I wanted to prudently go to a lot of the authorities, boards, and commissions that have some impact on the environment and water quality and make them aware of what an EAC is, in the hope that if we need it, there may be support among those other groups for the formation of an EAC. We are planning on doing not quite a study session with City Council, but in early August we are scheduled for a presentation to all of Council on this roadmap and EACs generally. So the goal is to get to as many of the authorities, boards, and commissions before the first week of August. I think that's everything. Sarah or John, knowing your dual roles here, did you want to add anything?
No, we just wanted Jenny to come and speak to the group about overall what's going on and happening, because trees help improve water quality also. Wherever there's trees, there's cleaner water. So, and there'll be a lot of overlap on different issues, and so we wanted everyone to be aware of it, the group, and like Jenny was saying, hopefully we can rely on each other for resources once it does officially form, which is what we're looking forward to.
Right. So our discussion after our speaker is going to recognize that there's a close relationship between the two. So thank you, Jen.
And I know you guys probably don't take questions on public comment, but I'm going to hang around for the rest of your meeting, and I'm happy to talk afterwards.
I think if anybody has any questions, it's fine.
I have one question.
We're pretty informal group.
Talks about, sorry, I'll move. This talks about the Erie Advisory Committee and that there are multiple ones across the state. So would this be for the city of Erie or for the county of Erie?
Right now, we're just talking about a city-affiliated
Okay.
EAC.
Okay. All right, good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And now we have a presentation from a master gardener, Benita.
Okay, well, before I get started, I got handouts, so I'm going to start them.
I'm here. I can help you.
I'm going to start them with Patty, and then she can just pass them over, and then just put the rest of them at the end, because I didn't know how many was going to be here. I brought the time, so just put them here, and then everybody just pass the pens over. One for yourself. You got a pen?
This is the perfect group. We love information and handouts.
And I don't want to pass this around because this Ruth Benner may be signed in blood. Showed it, so it never leaves my possession, but I just want to show you that.
Oh, that's interesting to see them.
Oh, this is the.
Don't touch.
This is the guy.
This is the guy.
I'm glad you came.
I know you have the digital, but I'll just leave those.
Oh, yeah, I do. I think I have the digital. Yeah, I have everything. Don't I? I have all this. Ooh. Yeah, I might not have one digital. I printed this blue one out a couple of times.
Now, these were given to me, so I can pass these around and just put them over there with that. So you can look at those, but this is the one that you saw. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to hand you one big packet of everything.
Couple more.
Although, you know what, did I take this one? No.
So I should say, Benita Herman is Master Gardener, Penn State Master Gardener here in Erie County. He's been a Master Gardener for a while. He's also a member of Lawrence Garden Club and explain your.
There's garden club organizations in the state, and it's called the Garden Club Federation of Pennsylvania, and there's 11 different districts, which is many, many, many garden clubs, and I'm the district director of District 8, so I kind of oversee the garden clubs and what's going on to the state from the corporate, not corporate, but the parent company. So that's
Take it
kind of
away.
me. So I'm going to kind of sit here and do it this way. Okay, the spotted lanternfly. It's here, and it's bad.
When you say here, what do you mean here?
It's here in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
It's here in Pennsylvania, and I'm going to be showing you some maps. This is what the spotted lanternfly looks like, and you saw it. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's so pretty," and it is. It is colorful. I don't know if I can get this around, but you see the big belly? That could either be a female, or it could be that it's somebody that just ate. The females usually have the bigger abdomen because they have the eggs. Okay. Does anybody have any idea where they came from?
Asian?
Asia, yeah.
Of course. Okay, and you can't really see that, and this is a little bit of outdated information, but the cost of the loss of all our core crops, our stone crops, our peaches, our pears, our apples, grapes. This insect did wipe out vineyards in Berks County. Our hardwood trees. This is an invasive sap-feeding plant hopper, and what that means is in most of its stage, it'll hop. It has very strong legs from plant to plant. On their abdomen, when you have them over on their abdomen, you can see their mouth, and their mouth is actually a pointy straw. And they stick that pointy straw into the little sapling's twigs, into like a grapevine, just in the vine. They will get into the sap of a tree, and they suck the sap out. And that's part of the problem because it puts a great deal of stress onto the trees, onto the vines. They don't eat the fruit. They eat the sap. And the reason why we call it invasive is, we'll get it right here, it's native to China. And there are no native enemies that it has. Because people will say, well, how does China keep this in check? Well, they have the native enemies, and it does keep this critter in line. We don't have any of that. And again, it was discovered in Berks County, like around, I think the egg masses came in 2012, and the egg masses is what's the problem. Because they can winter over, and they will travel, and she will lay her eggs on anything, and they came, they hatched, and here we are. We have 45 counties in Pennsylvania that are now in quarantine, and this has just been updated. When I gave a talk in 2020, there was 14 counties, now there's 45. There's also 11 different states that they have invaded. And they do prefer certain host plants. The big one is the tree of heaven. Now, does anybody know besides Sarah, does anybody know what a tree of heaven is? You do? Pardon me? Well, the problem is with that tree is not native to the States. It came over by the colonists in the 1700s because when it blooms and when the seeds are there, it's really kind of pretty because it's got all this golden seeds. But they are what is keeping and feeding our spotted lanternfly. If they cannot find their best dessert, they will also go to anything else like the black walnut, the red maple, hops, again, all our fruits, and up to 70 other plants. It's not particular if their favorites aren't here. There's your map. And the purple is the existing quarantine. The blue or the brownish is counties added to the quarantine in 2022. This is only June, and these have been added. Look at Mercer County. And the purple or the darker area is the infested areas in counties. So that's the area that they really saw the infestation in Mercer. So that's pretty doggone close. And there's also Cuyahoga County in Ohio that's also been spotted.
That's cool.
This is the other states that are also involved. Now, I just mentioned Cuyahoga, and it's not up there because I don't have that map. But you can see how it has spread into New York, to Delaware, to Connecticut. Where else are we? For Delaware, I said Delaware. But they're all over. And it's now in Indiana. They do have predictions of when they think the spotted lanternfly is going to be going to other areas. Indiana was predicted to have it come in 2035. But what happened was somebody from Allentown, which is in the quarantined areas, decided to move to Indiana, and they didn't look, or they didn't look thoroughly enough at the undersides and the things of their outdoor patio. They moved there were egg masses, and now Indiana infestation of the spotted lanternfly. Okay, you saw them, so it's open, and you saw they're not very big. That's a penny, and you saw them here. These are the actual things, so they're not huge. And that's what they look like with the wings closed.
What picture, oh, how big were they when they were in that black and white?
Here's one here.
That's not her personal
It's not
property,
my
so
personal
she's got
property.
to
That's I
protect
took
it.
the blood, so I would use this one. Yeah, but that one doesn't have the tick stage. Okay, I'm gonna have another picture of it here too that might give you a little bit more of an idea. But the small one is really kind of small. It's difficult to see. There's 4 stages, and each stage is called an instar when they break out and they move to the other stage when they get a little bit bigger. The smallest is about the size of a tick, and the largest is that ugly, I think it's ugly, that red and black thing. And what it does is when it's time, that back just cracks open and the spotted lanternfly starts coming out, and it comes out as an adult. And they go through these stages all in 1 year. They do not winter over, they all die, but the egg mass does survive the cold.
How long can they be in that black and white stage?
If you, we're going to get to that, but that one handout I gave you with the life cycle, it's right here, kind of tells you. Okay, now there's a quarter, and that kind of tells you the size of that first instar. It's pretty small when you compare it to a quarter. Okay, does that kind of help you put it in perspective? Okay, the life cycle. As you can see, the egg mass is there, and the eggs are there from October to June. So the first instar is May to June, so that first little one is coming out now if it hasn't already. And sometimes you'll have an overlap, depending on the winter we had or where it was laid. We all know that northern Erie is different than southern Erie in what you can grow and stuff and things, so there might be some overlappage. But the second instar we should be starting to see in June and July. The third, the second June and July, and also June and July, and then the fourth goes into July and September. And then the adult is here from July to December. She lays her eggs September through December, and then her eggs are there from October to June. Now, the spotted lanternfly can be killed with just regular insecticide, okay? A couple things you need to keep in mind is if the flowers are in bloom, would you be spraying for the spotted lanternfly? Probably not, because all your other pollinators are using the plant. So you'd be killing the pollinators too. So you'd be killing the good stuff along with the bad stuff. There are some things that look alike, and there's some pictures of some critters that look like the nymph and look like the adult, especially that tiger moth. The females, they lay about 30 to 50 eggs from September to October, and they overwinter. And what she does, and I'm going to have some more pictures here, but when she lays these eggs, she finds a spot. Doesn't matter where. She will lay them everywhere and everywhere, underneath here, on kids' toys, on swing sets, on steps, on your patio furniture. She has no particular place. She just lays. And then she excretes this white stuff, and these eggs are in chains, and it's only about 1 inch long, but she lays several times. And they're in little chains and little ribbons, maybe 3 or 4 chains, and then she covers them with this white stuff. This white stuff will be there, but as the weather comes and as March comes around, that white stuff is going to be brownish and it's cracked. And if you didn't know what you were looking for, you just might think it's something nasty on the bark. The tree's got some kind of disease. It's got something. So that's why we are doing all of this, so that if people are walking through the woods, they can be on the lookout. And again, she deposits it everywhere. Again, the tree of heaven is the host plant. When the female, or when the adults, they can fly, and they're better jumpers than flyers. And I was in a convention down in Philadelphia, and I was asking some of the gardeners there about the spotted lanternfly, and I says, can't you just stop them? And they said, they're tough because they see you coming and they're jumping, and you look kind of ridiculous as you're trying to jump around, trying to kill this thing. So she says, it's easier said than done. Okay, now they're doing all this, eating this sap out of this vine. And so they bring it in, and of course anything comes in, it goes out, and what they excrete is this honeydew. And this honeydew is their poop and their pee, and it's, they also call it the black sooty mold will build up, and it's sticky. And as this starts to build up all over, this is sweet, so it'll draw your ants, it'll draw some of your biting insects. This honeydew, and I'm going to have some more pictures, but it can be so much that it'll completely cover your deck, depending on how many spotted lanternflies are up above. And I couldn't do the video, but there's actually a picture that Penn State has out, and you could actually see, it looks like rain. You can actually see the honeydew dripping down. Spotted lanternfly does not bite. Okay, there's some pictures of the eggs. You can see in this picture here, do you see this little area right here? It's kind of hard to see, but that's actually, it's got the egg, and it looks like there's a little flap. And what happens is when that little nymph comes up, that's like a little hatch, and that'll open up, and then this little nymph comes out. And when they come out, they're white, they're like opaque, and you can just see the black eyes. And then once they're out in the air a little bit, then they get dark. Okay, there's one that was freshly made, and there's the same one in 2016. And I am not sure if those ones that are uncovered get, if they hatch or not. There isn't a follow-up picture to let you know. Now there's some lookalikes with the egg masses, and you can see the difference there with the gypsy moth and the spotted moth, or the gypsy moth and the spotted lanternfly. They kind of look alike, especially if it gets to be late in the season when it turns that brown color. And then lichen gets blamed for a lot of things, but people think lichen sometimes are the egg masses. And there she is laying the eggs. And there's those, with those arrows, those are the egg masses. And like I said, if you didn't know what you were looking for, you just kind of think it was some scarring of the bark of the tree. That's how small they are.
They call it the gypsy moth or spongy moth.
I'm sorry?
Now they call it the spongy moth. They don't say gypsy moth anymore.
Spongy moth.
Yeah, it's considered offensive. Roman people call it gypsy moth.
Okay. Oh, there. This one you can see. You can see those little See those little flaps there? Those are the little hatches. And this picture, it didn't work that well, but you can see that she laid eggs on that light bulb. She laid it on all that patio furniture and some screened-in patio. This is a picture of a tree that the lanternflies are at, and they're sucking the sap out, and the sap is draining out of the tree, which will cause a great deal of stress to that tree in time. And this is how they kind of, you can see that this is probably the second or the third instar. And even the picture down in the lower left, I see some red, so you probably have both of them there. But you can see that they're actually attacking the vines, not the fruit or the vegetables. That picture up on the upper left, they put that sticky tape on. And the sticky tape works well with the nymphs, because the nymphs, they're light enough, they will get stuck on it, but the adults, they can fly over it. They can get their little legs on, and then they can fly, and they can get over it. And they're a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and they could be able to jump over it. Again, the one on the bottom, it's like, okay, those are probably grapes. They're all massed there, but they're not eating the grapes, they're eating the vine. That's kind of impressive, isn't it? Yes.
Pretty gross.
So, you think a little bit of raid is going to help that? And there's the kids' furniture outside, and there's their gardening equipment. Yeah, that's kind of gross. There's your sooty mold. Here it is power washed, and here it is here. And that's all sticky, and slippery, smelly. Now the lanternflies are probably above this, and they're excreting on the plants and the leaves below, which interferes with the plant's photosynthesis. And I don't say that well, but it'll cause a lot of leaf drop, and it will kill the leaves. Management. Okay, what do we do? Well, the egg masses, if you see them, you have to manually take them off, scrape them off. Now I did have, and you can scrape them off with a knife, a quarter, a credit card, and what they recommend is that you put them in a baggie with a hand sanitizer, and we all have plenty of that now, and just put them in there and stomp the heck out of them, burn them, don't throw them in the garbage, but do one of those two things with them. Problem is, most of your spotted lanternflies lay the eggs in the top 2/3 of the trees, so we can't reach them. Sticky bands. Sticky bands have been very good because they do trap the nymphs and some of the adults. But what they found out is when they put the sticky bands on, it also caught some hummingbirds, some of your other pollinators, even some little larger birds. So now that they're saying you can still use the sticky band, but put the chicken wire around it. And that will prevent the little critters from getting in there. I didn't have a good picture, but the one thing that's been working out really well is called a circle trap. And it was a handmade type of thing, but it is pretty common, and it's attached. And it's the lanternflies goes up and they're crawling around, and they kind of go into this plastic bag, this thing encircles the tree, and then they can't get out. You're shaking your head yes, so you're...
Yeah, I think there was a picture.
There might be something in the handouts
It looked
there.
like a Ziploc bag or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Page 11.
Now, the other thing that they're doing is to eradicate this tree of heaven. is we need to get rid of this tree of heaven. And if some of you know the tree of heaven, if you have one growing, you just can't chainsaw it off because the next year you're going to get a tree of heaven that didn't have one trunk, now it's got 6. And so there's a special time of the year that you can cut it down, and then people have drilled out the inside a little bit and put some herbicide down in it to kill it. That was one way. The forestry association, or the foresters, they're doing another thing, is they're looking at a lot of these areas and of the tree of heaven, and will kill, I'm probably going to get it backwards. I think they kill the female tree and they keep the male so that there won't be a produce of these seeds, and inject the tree with a systemic insecticide, so when the lanternflies feed off their favorite dessert, they will get the insecticide in their body and die. Okay. It's a lot of work. I've also been on a couple sessions with the coastal outreach specialist, Tom Cermak. Do you know him? You're on that group too, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Okay, and maybe you could add to some of this. That they're trying to help homeowners out there to, if they have tree of heavens, that they work with the Department of Agriculture, right, to get rid of the tree of heaven. And all you have to do is call the Department of Agriculture or call this Tom, and he'll put it on the list, and they'll go out and they'll look at it, and they will start, even in the city of Erie, they will kill the tree of heaven. Am I right?
I believe so.
Okay. And if anybody's interested, I have his information here.
So one of our members who isn't here, Mark Polsky, another arborist, had mentioned using to trap the insects and kill them with systemic. Is this something that's taking place?
It is. It is.
And it works?
It seems to be. It's
okay,
working.
so when they look, whoever's looking at the tree, they're going to determine whether they should get rid of it or they should.
They should always get rid of it, because we're never going to get rid of the spotted lanternfly. We're never going to get rid of it. It's always going to be here, but we are going to have to learn how to manage it a little bit better.
Okay, so wouldn't keeping some of the tree of heaven that are essentially big traps, doesn't that make sense?
Mark was saying instead of cutting every single tree of heaven,
No, they're
to
cutting
leave.
well, if it's in your property and stuff, they're cutting them completely down. But to get rid of the ones that are on, like, I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And to kind of stop the passage of them, that's what they're doing. They're killing the female. It's like on your railroad corridors. There's so many of them, they couldn't cut them all down. But they are trying to kill a number of the spotted lanternfly in those areas. And then if they do get away and do come into your urban areas or your rural areas, if the tree of heavens aren't there, they might not feed as well.
I guess what Mark is suggesting is that these traps are a part of the potential management for them. If the tree of heaven isn't there, they're going to go somewhere.
Right.
As you say, we're not going to get rid of them. But then it seems to make sense that the tree of heaven as an attractant, it attracts them, that keeping some of them, managing them as traps, makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they'd feed off the tree and then die.
Yeah.
But then don't they, how do they disperse their seeds?
Oh, that's the problem. They disperse a lot of seeds.
Oh, yeah.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. But you could manage the trees in that respect somehow.
Get rid of the females, that's all.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
they're doing. They're getting rid of the females.
How prevalent is tree heaven in Erie County?
Just hang on.
That's why we need an inventory.
they grow on the edges, Freda, the edges between
There are
property
some,
lines.
oh, I'm sorry, Sarah.
I was just saying they grow like on the edges between your property and your neighbor's property. Places that aren't maintained, they grow in the cracks and the edges and the property lines and like train tracks. They grow in the in
Yeah,
between
'cause
places.
they're kind of wild.
Yeah.
You know,
And they're
the
aggressive.
biggest trees that were removed on the bayfront a few years ago, they took out all the knotweed and everything all along the bayfront bluff on the park, by the parkway. The biggest trees there were Tree of Heaven. They were a specific target
Yeah.
to be removed.
Oh, wow.
People complain that they cut down these big trees, but
They didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are some beneficial insects, but they can't keep up with the quantity of the spotted lanternflies, such as your spiders, praying mantis, assassin bug, and the parasitic wasp. And just for the reason of that one picture that I showed you with that tree with those millions of them on there, how's one or two praying mantis going to take care of that? The spotted lanternfly does not feed on houses. Now, when this first started coming out, we do have scammers that are out there, and they went around to people and said that they will treat your house for a cost that would prevent the spotted lanternfly from eating your wood, and people pay thousands and thousands of dollars to have that done, but they don't, that's not what they do. They don't eat wood, they only suck the sap out of live things. It will kill trees. The saplings are in danger. A lot of our walnut trees are the little saplings are in danger. And the people that are in quarantine, I didn't give you the quarantine information because we're not in quarantine as of yet because there hasn't been any up here. But when we do, there's going to be a lot of education on what you need to do for quarantine. Right now, all those counties that are in quarantine, the truckers, the trucking companies, if they travel in and travel out and their truck stays there for a length of time, they have to get a permit. And with that permit, they have to train their truckers on what to do, how to look for them, because you know, if you look at that that life cycle, the life cycle we're concerned about mostly is the egg mass. So they need to inspect their trucks for the egg masses. They also do the Department of Agriculture, they also do random checks. They'll stop at these trucking companies or they'll stop a truck. A state trooper, they're very aware of what these permits are and stuff, and they may stop a trucker and go to them and say, tell me what you know about the spotted lanternfly and let me see your permit. And if they don't, that company could get fined because they know that these truckers know this information. They will use drones in some of these trucking areas to fly on the top of it to see if there's any spotted lanternfly masses there. They have a canine, and she's called Lucky. And she gets rewarded when she finds an egg mass. And it's not a food, but it's a favorite toy. And she has been very useful. She has found a lot of the masses that are in pallets. And she sniffed them out, and the humans couldn't even see them. So they are really working hard. And every state kind of, you know, does know, especially the adjoining states, they all are aware, and they have their own programs. But this program from Penn State has been accepted through all 50 states. Norfolk and Western, they had to do education for their people. The buses. So there's a lot of information. And then the homeowners, and you think, well, how did they get this information out? Well, there was a lot of information out. The kids are taught this in school. They can come home and they can tell their parents about the spotted lanternfly. So there's a lot of education that's been going on. The main thing is stop the spread, scrape the eggs, ban, remove Tree of Heaven, and apply insecticides. There's some banding that's there. And some places have even done some netting, and that's been useful. But that's pretty costly also. but you gotta do what you gotta do.
What are they dancing with?
Some kind of fine netting. Okay, there's your tree of heaven. Okay, and the leaves grow side by side. It's kind of mistaken sometimes with that staghorn sumac. Yeah. But the bottom two leaves, as it comes out, the bottom two leaves, the leaves are smooth, where your sumac, I think, is rigid, but the bottom two leaves have a little, looks like little thumbs that come out. So they got these little lobes that come out, then the rest of it is smooth. But you can see that that's a little bit of a portion, but look at those seeds. And I don't have enough of this to go around, but I will pass this around to you so you can see some other pictures of what I was just explaining.
Tree of Heaven smells funny too.
It does smell funny.
If you
It
crinkle the
smells,
leaves.
They say that if you squeeze the leaves, it smells like rotted peanut butter.
Yeah, so if you're not sure, you can always crush the leaf and smell it.
So that notch on the bottom, that closest to the stem?
Yes. Okay, this is where you'll find Tree of Heaven. So, this is where you probably will anticipate the spotted lanternfly.
Weird that Mercer County doesn't have Tree of Heaven, but that's what
Yeah. Well, here is Pennsylvania,
There we go.
and they do have spotted or they do have Tree of Heaven. And this is Pennsylvania. And again, remember where it all started. It all started, oops, where's my little mouse? Well, you can see where it all started, well, where that mass is.
So did it come over on?
What? Oh, I'm sorry, you were here. It came over on cargo from China. The egg mass came over. And it went to, it was shipped to Berks County in Pennsylvania. And they hatched it. Christmas trees. They really don't do much, they don't really attach to the conifers. They don't particularly care for that sap, but they could lay eggs on there. So all the people that raise Christmas trees, they have been taught to what to look for. So if you think you see it, take a picture of the insect or the nymph or the egg masses, then kill it if you can. Send that picture to badbug@pa.gov or notify your Penn State Cooperative Extension or the Department of Agriculture. Again, report. There's another phone number down there too, 1-888 for bad bug fly. Bad fly, rather. Remember, the only good spotted lanternfly is a dead one. And I'm hoping that these are all dead and not just passed out because they were feeding. More questions?
Thank you, Benita. That's very informative and scary, and part of the many, many, many problems that we're facing as we try to expand the urban forest.
Does anybody know, can I just pull that jump drive out, or do I have to have it okay to eject?
I think he just yelled, you can pull it out.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Benita. When I learned more about this, it became very frightening, and I just wanted to get as much information out there. Benita is a part of the Master Gardeners, and if you have a group that you would like her to speak with, we can make that request. And the information is certainly out there.
I have a question. So like, are you the master gardener?
I am a master gardener, yes.
So like, you have your, and I don't mean to sound critical, okay? Your plant sale, which is people's homes, gardens, stuff. And I'm on the, I'm connected with the Native Plant Society, and people trade things, and I trade things with people. I guess anybody who has a nursery in the quarantine areas knows what they're doing. But there's a lot of kind of very, and I bought a bunch of stuff from Ernst, which is the university. Whatever county.
Crawford.
They're in Crawford County.
But what, just like I said, there's all this casual movement of plants by well-meaning people. Yeah.
Well, and I think that happened probably with the snake bug, and then there are all sorts of things about prohibiting movement of firewood and all those sorts of things. So it just behooves us as a consumer to educate ourselves. And there's a lot of information out there, and as John indicated, there are lots of bad things out there that we have to take into consideration.
I'm figured out that the state government is everything down.
It's annoying, but yeah. Thank you, Benita.
All right, thanks. In the interest of time here, unless there's some issue that needs to be discussed on these current projects, I want to talk about the tree plan.
Can I just mention,
Thank you again, Bonita, for coming.
Bye, Benita. Thank you again.
it's just a mention.
Absolutely, Freda. What do you got to say?
So the stormwater, some version of the stormwater plan is coming out on July 5th. Did you guys already talk about that?
No, but
There was a public notice in the paper yesterday, so it's coming out on the 5th, and there's a public meeting. I'll forward it to you, and you can share it with people.
okay.
So there is something, there's going to be a meeting, and there's public comment period. So, since it's on the list, I just thought the heads up people to be, I mean, if nothing else, support the zoning plan.
Yeah.
Because there are people who don't.
Right. All right, thanks, brother. Yes, I would appreciate if you would share that, and I will share it with everybody. It's really important that a part of the solution to this stormwater issue is trees. They're huge. It's a potentially huge part of the solution to stormwater issues. Again, I don't want to ask if everybody watched the Bill Elmendorf thing, and I did share this with you all a while back. I shared it digitally, this community tree plans document. I don't know if anybody has looked at it recently. I'll try to find my digital file and share it again. And Benita said she'd try to get some hard copies from me from the extension office, so Penn State Extension, I mean. If we look at Bill's roadmap here for creating a community tree plan, he says that what we need to do first is create an introduction that includes a description of the community and its community forest. It should provide information on the community's history, the commission, the community's trees, and other information such as known soil or maintenance problems that help set the stage for the plan. That's something that we can all think about and contribute to. I hope before we leave here in the next few minutes that we can come up with some kind of a system to do that. Then creating a vision statement, which is always important to developing a plan, and then identifying some goals, and then we can move on to how we go about achieving those goals. But I think it's really important to do that fundamental work up first. In terms of this, developing an introduction, I'm sure you're all going to volunteer work on that, right? Yeah.
I need to get an intern to help with that. I think I can have our in-house print shop make copies of that
Of this?
for everybody.
Oh,
for the
okay.
next meeting.
Okay.
It came in the packet of all that stuff when we
Yes,
signed
it
up?
did.
So I have one upstairs.
You have one, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
So I'll
that'd be
make copies
great.
of that.
That'd be great. Yeah, it's nice to have a hard copy of it.
Mhm. Yeah, and then we can go over it more at the next
Right.
meeting.
Right.
And maybe if I can scan it, I might be able to send it digitally too, or at least that page. Or maybe we can come up with something to send everybody. The
The
jump
jump
drive?
drive that we got, I'm pretty sure it was in there.
Okay, well
I
maybe
thought you
can.
shared that
I
digitally,
did-
because
I
I've
did.
seen that.
I did
Yeah,
share it
okay.
electronically.
Oh,
You can go back
okay,
to
you
your
did?
email and find my
Yeah.
share too. That's
Oh,
another
okay.
possibility.
All right.
Okay, that'd be
But
great.
I'll get them
If you-
printed out.
If we had some hard copies of this, would be very helpful.
Yep.
And I'm not volunteering for anything right now because I got the festival coming up and I'm kind of absorbed with that.
Well, is there something specific you'd like everyone to have for the next meeting, to think about for the next meeting, John?
Well,
Because I have a bunch of the history, like I can put together some of the history from the old meeting. I don't know if I have time, but I can try.
all right. Well, I think,
The old group and the history about the
Oh,
Urban
okay.
Forest Committee forming and stuff a long time ago. Because we revised the ordinance back in 2008 and all that, like the old history.
that would be great. That would be great. Then what we wanted information about is what trees do we have? And it says soil or maintenance problems. I do have a copy of the soil assessment of Erie County.
Yeah, I have one of those also.
Yeah, you have that as well?
And I can put a list, I can go through all my lists of trees that I ever inspected or looked at and make a list of all the different kinds.
Well, that would be helpful. That's a
could be
starting point.
First start,
That should be at least a,
like a species list, kind of.
yeah.
And we have the book of the big book
The
of
big
trees
trees.
for Erie County, so all those trees exist,
Right?
at least in the county.
Okay. And, well, then, I guess the charge to everyone then is the vision statement. What is our vision for this community in terms of the urban forest?
We did the mission statement. We didn't do a vision.
I don't think we did a vision statement, did we?
Okay.
Vision and mission,
It's similar,
It's
but
similar,
it's
but
still
it's
similar,
more-
but vision is kind of broader and maybe you're
Yeah.
never gonna get there. It can be more utopian, but the mission statement is.
more concrete, more
Yeah.
right now. The vision is,
Exactly.
the bigger.
Do we have a
broader
mission
vision.
statement? We do, don't we?
Yes.
I think we do.
Yes. A mission, not a vision.
Yes.
Oh, that's what you want to know? Yeah, I think, yes, I have it too. I think it's right here.
This is our mission.
Thank you.
Yes, isn't that it?
The Erie Urban Forest Committee exists to support a greener, healthier city of Erie that values, protects, and grows our urban forest. That's good. It's a succinct
Yep.
and good statement. But
Yes.
I think the vision statement is very useful to keep, keep looking toward the future. So maybe that would be what we talk about initially next time.
Okay.
Uh,
Would it be helpful to create a subcommittee of any kind or have a meeting in between, just to brainstorm?
Maybe just a couple people look
Just
up
a
other
quick
vision
Zoom.
statements, maybe, or
Okay.
other urban forest committees, or even like tree, isn't there like tree people in Pittsburgh, or tree Pittsburgh, or like, yeah, stuff like that. To compare, give us some ideas.
Okay.
Does anybody have time to want to volunteer to do that?
yeah, not this month, but next month.
Yes. I will try, if I can get some help, but yes, I will try. I will review some vision statements and things. So,
Very good.
Thanks.
Very good.
that's why I turned my phone on. I apologize. I was going to block time on my calendar, but I will do that after this meeting. Sorry.
There's really a lot of opportunities to dovetail with stormwater plans with trees. You can get more trees on all those vast commercial lawns.
That the
Commons property and such.
the public meeting that you talked about.
I said, you got it, oh no, I cannot send emails in this building.
Oh, yeah. My phone's almost dead here.
It's on July 15th, but I can't remember the time.
July 15th?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's coming right up.
That's on it.
It is the 5th, for sure. They released the PRP.
That would be great if several of us could testify at that meeting, and maybe that's the subcommittee.
Friday, July 15th at 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
And it's not going to be here, it's going to be up at room 500, which, this is a public meeting, but there's like almost no room in that.
And Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock?
Yeah.
Like, thanks for nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have no
Alright.
comment.
Yes, I agree with you, John, that maybe that's the subcommittee that we need to have, is either several of us testify or make a statement, or one statement from our committee.
Yes.
So we don't have another meeting before then,
No.
correct? Okay.
Our next meeting should be July 27th.
Yeah.
Yeah, our thing says the 4th Wednesday of every month.
Yes.
But for some reason, they're confusing, because of last year, like Christmas or Thanksgiving was in the way of one of them. And so I think that's why they put the 4th or the last, but it's really the 4th
Yeah.
officially.
Okay.
And I don't know about Christmas and Thanksgiving for this year.
I could send you that as a Facebook message.
You can do that, then I can share it on email.
It's some little setting in your phone, probably.
No, I think it's the nature of the building.
And that thing on the 15th, is that just a presentation, or can we speak at
No,
that?
it's a public meeting.
It's a public meeting, okay, then we definitely
And
can
this
speak.
is only on the city's pollution reduction plan.
Okay,
Under its stormwater permit, not
Okay.
on the P program.
Well, have you figured out what it is yet? Because there's nothing to
I don't know what water body it's specific to or how many, but yeah, it's just a reduction plan under.
That could end up being the thing that's going to get voted on.
It's required, they have to have it.
Right. But I mean, they have this committee that's all the people on.
That would be different from the credit policy, but will be connected, yeah.
Okay, I just Facebook messaged it.
Sorry.
well, let's communicate on this via email, coordinate a little bit, and see if we can have several of us speak.
It's not available, I don't know why they did it this way, but it's not available until July 5th.
To read it, to review it?
Because the city's PRP will be made available for the public review on July
would hope.
I don't know how many hundreds of pages they are.
Yeah.
And so do we already have one and
It
they're
says-
revising it, or it's a brand new one? Does anybody know?
Don't know. I couldn't find anything that you'd been required to have one prior,
No?
but that just maybe it's not in.
I don't know. I'll ask some questions about it.
Is Kushak on?
Yeah, he's gone. And Leanne Parmenter, the former traffic engineer, has been promoted to assistant bureau chief. So that's nice. Leanne's really good at what she does.
All right, well, this was a good meeting. Thank you, Jen, thank you, Freda, for your contributions. And based on what we said, we're going to think about the vision. Patty's going to try to put pen to paper on that. And we're going to try to make our presence known at the presentation on stormwater. I did share with everybody one of the, again, from the same training program, the presentation on the relation with stormwater. I don't know if you watched it or remember it. I could share it. I could try to find that and share it again.
I don't know if I watched it, but I read through that.
Because it is. I mean, trees are answer number one to dealing with stormwater. Frankly, take care of your trees. They
Yeah.
take care of a lot of stormwater.
How long are the sessions? Do you remember, John?
How long?
Yeah.
That
Like
wasn't
watch
a long one. It was maybe half an hour.
Like maybe we should watch one at one of our meetings that
Ah.
you feel is very important. Because it's hard for people to make other time, or maybe, have a subcommittee meeting and that's what we do. Or if they're a half an hour, it will only take up part of the meeting, we could watch one or
Right.
watch
That's
half.
a good
but watch-
suggestion.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
I'm okay with like short subcommittee meetings here and there. I think that's helpful sometimes when we have something to accomplish.
Okay.
When we have time, I know we're all very busy.
All right. Well, I'll share that presentation and.
Well, they're all on the jump drive, so if we want to watch one, I can have it set up so we can watch
Okay.
one,
But
part of one.
this is taking place before we meet again. So-
Right, but I mean like of the plan, or like for our, I can't even think, the training sessions that we watched.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I missed a couple of them, I didn't see them all either.
Okay, all right, so if you want to do that, if you want to pull out one that is most germane for our next meeting,
Yeah, do you want to do the planning one?
I think that's the best one to start with.
All right,
But in the meantime, I'll try to share the one about stormwater, so that we're all on the same page about how important trees are to any kind of stormwater plan. All right?
All right, great.
One
Okay.
last thing.
Yes.
Sarah, we talked a little bit about thank you notes. I'd like to send a thank you note to Seaway Windows and maybe the Neighborhood Art House on behalf of us as a committee, if that's
Okay.
possible.
oh, I forgot to bring that down. I can run up and get,
Well, I can come up with you after if you want. Yeah, we talked about doing on city letterhead. I don't know if we'd all want to sign it together or just,
If you do a handwritten note, I think that's
okay,
enough. You don't all have to sign it.
okay.
okay, I'll do that then. 'Cause
Yeah,
I don't know if we have, I know thank you cards exist, but I don't know if they're just for the mayor's office or if other people can use them, but we can just, but I have city letterhead, so we can
Okay.
have
And
that
that's
letterhead.
perfect, yeah.
So Seaway, Neighborhood Art House, anyone else?
Mark donated the tree if you wanted to.
Yeah, Mark, Asbury Woods showed up. The woodworkers
partners who
showed up. I don't know if anybody in particular needs to be thanked. But
Yeah, we should send them all thank you
I
letters,
mean,
that would
yeah,
be nice.
If you just want to do it, just to say thanks for participating, sure. I can get you the list of who was there.
Yeah, I think that's nice.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
And that could just be on the letterhead, not handwritten, right? For those? Or, I don't know, we can talk about it in your office, see what
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. I mean, it doesn't have, they don't have to be long.
Doesn't
Yeah.
have to be long,
I
yeah.
definitely just want to get out Seaways and
Handwritten is
Neighborhood
so
Art House.
unusual anymore.
Yeah,
It's nice, even if it's short.
right.
Yeah, and I can ask real quick. We can ask. I can stop over in the print shop and see.
Okay.
I just don't know. about the cards. We can look real quick.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Thank you all.